Hey, how's it going? How's everybody doing? Just want to do a quick little video. Hopefully, it won't be too long. Just about basically how shit my neighborhood has become, unfortunately. And I've been living here in this neighborhood for 17 years. I've lived in Toronto longer, and I've grew up near Toronto in Mississauga, which was a lot of gang stuff happening at that time, which I'll get into more as I talk about this video. But what prompted this video is another shooting here last night in around here. And I don't know if anyone actually got shot. I didn't really look into it, or if anyone. I don't think anyone was killed. If I don't think anyone for sure was shot. No reason is that no ambulances showed up. Just a few cruisers, a bunch of cruisers actually in a fire truck. And I'm just sort of getting fed up with what's going on in this neighborhood. And used to be when I first moved here 17 years ago, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't great, but it wasn't what it's becoming. I hope I'm in frame, and I hope my glasses aren't just glowing all over the place. But anyway, I just thought, wow, I can just tally up all the shit that's happened here in the last little while. And I mean, I did a video about this about a year ago, maybe close to a year ago or something, after a different shooting happened. But it's just this neighborhood's just screwed, and it's kind of like pissing me off because I really hate this wannabe gangster lifestyle or this gangster lifestyle. It's bullshit. Like all of it. It's fucking ridiculous. Um, but anyway, just right here alone in this area, I can say okay, there's that building right there. Now, last night, it's a little bit blurry and shaky just because I'm zoomed in a bit. But that row of right there, it's a little plaza. And behind there, last night, there were shots fired probably around midnight. And turn that off, the light off. But I heard it, and I know what gunshots sound like, or versus versus just a loud noise, a loud bang. It has a very specific sound. And there was two last night, and then shortly after that, the cruisers started coming up the street. I can hear the sirens. There's Young Street down there, and I can just hear them and I can see them just coming in, and they're going around back behind the building over here. Again, like over on where's my finger now? I'm zoomed in, and it's hard to figure out, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Around to the back of the building, and then a fire truck showed up and went down the other side, after about 20 minutes or so. But yeah, it's just crazy. I have to. It's because the times, not the times changing, but the seasons are changing. So normally I would do this at this time. If it was a month ago, it'd still be daylight. But anyway, that was last night. And then over there in that parking lot right there, you can see there's a Tim Hortons there. In that parking lot, about close to a year ago, two people got shot right over there. One guy, this was probably about 2 a.m, and there was a guy just laying down in the parking lot when the cruisers finally showed up, and he sounded more pissed than anything. He wasn't dead, it wasn't critical, but he was still shot, and he was lying there, and I could see there was blood all around his midsection when he was on the ground. And then in that same parking lot, not too long before that, another guy got chopped up, hacked to death with a machete over some disagreement. And then probably right around that area, which is not very far away from there, a guy was riding his bike down the street, and then some psycho came over and smashed him in the face with a golf club. Like right there. And then another area, I think just a few weeks ago, I'm not sure, it's still here in my area, but there was a drive-by shooting, and two people got shot and one guy was killed. And it's all over bullshit. This isn't like a gangland area. It's gotten really sketchy, and there's a lot of crack in the area. There's a lot of drugs in this area, but it's not a gang area, But just a few weeks ago, right down there in my own parking lot, right around there, right around there, where the corner is, some guy came in the middle of the night and shot up someone's car. And then here, right around where that white car right in the middle is, where that person's sort of walking towards, last year, a bunch of kids, little wannabe gangsters, came running out of the trees over there, chasing two other kids, and they were also running through there as well. And I don't know what happened after because they all kind of ran that way. But on their way, right where that car is, there was a different car there. And then I don't know if one of the people they were chasing owned the car, but then they just went over and started smashing it with sticks and kicking it and just trashed the car. And that was around wintertime. I remember being snow on the ground. Um, and then another time, somewhere over in that area, just not too far, I heard shots fired probably about a year ago, just in the middle of the night. There was a fight. There was a fight in around here. I don't know where it was because I didn't see it, but I could hear it. And then there was a little while later, I'd hear bang, 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 bang. But the cops didn't. I didn't hear any cops. But the cops here are a little bit questionable at times because one time, right in the corner there was some kids all night blasting music so loud that when I called the police, which I don't usually call the police, but this time I did because I had to work and it was getting 3, 4, 5 in the morning. I called the cops 3 times. They never came. And then the woman said something about, well, it was a Tuesday night. And she said, well, the police are all busy right now. And I go, for like all this time. And the funny thing is, right over there where you can see where that fence is, there used to be a liquor store, an LCBO, the liquor store, and there was always a cop sitting in the parking lot there. I don't know why, every single night. And I asked, what about the cop in the liquor store parking lot? And then a few minutes later, the cop drove away and the kids were still blasting their music over here. And it wasn't until, and I think, yeah, they were Persian, which I don't really care about that, but somebody in the building had enough of it and screamed something in Farsi, which is the language they speak in Iran. And within a minute, they just packed up and left. Like I don't know what he said because I don't speak Farsi, but they didn't stick around. And then another time I called the cops. I was way up. You can't see because I'm facing north, but this was south, facing downtown Toronto. But I was a few blocks south of here, and then some kids were, I don't want to say kids, like kids to me, I guess. They were like in their 20s, shooting firecrackers, Roman candles at moving cars. And I called the cops, and they didn't do anything. And I saw where they went. They went into some, there's a restaurant. It's not there anymore. And this is probably around 11 o'clock at night. And then I waved a cop over, and he went into the bank machine. There was a bank machine, an ATM, and he went in there. And I told him what was going on. He goes, oh, I'm on another call. And I'm like, you're at the bank machine. And then he looked at me, and he was about to say something. I said, never mind. I got on my bike and rode away. But the worst thing that's ever happened, and this is the most heartbreaking thing that's ever happened in this neighborhood. Now, again, you won't be able to see because it's facing the other way. Again, I'm facing north. This is south, and you can see not footage of this, but you can see the aftermath of the arrest and the interview with the piece of filth after he was arrested. But he drove a van that he had rented from. Now, this might not mean a lot to people listening or watching this, just because you don't necessarily know the area. Because I know a lot of people watching this are from the States, but this is North York, Toronto, and there's a street called Shepherd Avenue, and there's a park there, like a little park area called Mel Lastman Square. And he took a van, started at Mel Lastman Square, drove up the sidewalk on Yonge Street all the way up to Finch Avenue, which is a pretty long stretch of road, or it's a pretty long stretch of Yonge Street, and murdered 10 people with this van. And it was pretty devastating because it was not necessary. And his reason was that he couldn't get laid, essentially, like to be as blunt and to the point. That's basically his reason. He was frustrated. So because he's a loser, and he is, a pathetic piece of filth. Um, 10 people had to die for that, and I'm getting sick of this shit. Wannabe gangsters, like this whole area. It's a weird area because you go here, go that way. It's very multicultural here in this neighborhood. Like up there, it's Persian or Iranian, depending on who's saying it. But I know most of the Iranian people I'm friends with prefer Persian, so I'll say Persian. And then you can't see, but if you go the other direction, you start going south. It's Korean. I've never had any issues there, like personally, aside from the psycho killing 10 people. But that wasn't that. That was just a psycho. It wasn't gang related or anything like that. But then you go this way and you start getting towards Jane and Finch area, like up in there, and that's a very violent area of Toronto. That's where we got Bloods, Crips. They're all there, like in that area. There's other areas of Toronto that have that, but that's the most notorious up that way. I mean, you can't see it, it's just lights, but I'm just started going the direction. And you go over there, and that's Markham, and then you have gangs up there. There's a lot of not just Asian gangs, but a lot of like Chinese gangs. Not just Chinese, but that's the majority, because that's the majority of the population up in that area. And then go that way, and that's Scarborough. And Scarborough is notoriously got a reputation, and it's a lot of black and Sri Lankan gangs over there. And again, I'm not profiling anybody racially. These are just the neighborhoods, And then you get to, and you go way that way where I used to live. It's Mississauga, and then that's where you got a lot of different races, and you got a lot of white gangs there too. So it's not. I'm not saying white people aren't gangs. Of course we are. But it's just stupid. Like I have no tolerance for gang activity or anything. Like when I meet gangsters that have redeemed themselves, and I've never been in a gang, but I've hung out with people in gangs back when I was in school. I was not an angel by any means. I hung out with mostly the white gangs. Me being white, so it's sort of how it goes. And back then, the gangs were really racial. My school was one of the 5 most violent in Ontario, and we had gangs there, all the different gangs in the school of Chinese gangs, Jamaican gangs, a lot of Jamaican gangs, because most of the school, it was a very Jamaican school, so to speak, because the neighborhood was very Jamaican. But you had white gangs, it said black gangs, Filipino gangs. Like there's a lot there going on. It's not a good place at that time. But anyway, and it's funny because they're trying to make this neighborhood nice. Like you can't see because it's dark, but those are all houses, and so many of them are these big oversized houses that don't need to be that big. And you got these little, I don't know, maybe like a tenth of an acre that are selling for like $1.5 million. And all these things, you can see where those lights are up ahead, way up there. That's Steeles Avenue, and over there is a mall, and they're tearing that mall down to put up more condos. Now, if we were facing south, you would see it's just condos after condo after condo after condo. These are just regular apartment buildings like what I live in. But it's just they're tearing down all these small businesses along Yonge Street. All these buildings are going to be gone. They're all condos, and that's not even a motorcycle. That's like a little. It's loud as shit, but it's like some little, I don't know, thing that's supposed to be. It's not even a motorcycle. I don't even know what it was. It was gas powered, but it's not 3 o'clock in the morning yet, so that's why I'm not hearing screechy fucking motorcycles flying down the street, keeping up everybody in the neighborhood. That's another thing I hate. I love the city, but it's just so many jerks. But anyway, that's enough complaining for one night. Oh, one other thing too in this neighborhood. Sorry, over there where those, you can see that row of lights. That's the community center. That's the baseball diamond, actually. And there's a lot of kids playing there. A lot of families go there, but there's also this big group of drunks and crackheads that sit over on the side, way over. There's the diamond, and then there's the community center here, and they sit over here, and all they do is they yell and they fight and they scream. There's children running around. It's supposed to be a playground, and you got these assholes. Now I don't have a problem going to the park and someone having a beer and just relaxing, even with a couple people, because there's also people that will do that and they'll have like little parties and stuff. Hey, I'm all for it. It's better than causing shit. But they just sit there and they get drunk and they piss everywhere, and they make a big mess, and all they do is just make noise and make people uncomfortable. And most of them are crackheads, and it just drives me crazy, like. And it all started, we had a homeless shelter that was put in the beginning. I was all for it. I was like, cool, help some people, because I do have empathy for homeless people. But once that got in, about a month later, all the crackheads and drug dealers showed up, and then that's when all the shit really started around here. I mean, it did start, there was a place called Smoky Joe's that doesn't exist anymore, and it was always full of drug dealers, and you felt like, I only went in there a couple times because it was really the only bar at the time. But now it's built up. There's a lot of places, mostly Korean places around that I'll go to. But that's just because it's a very Korean neighborhood, and and I like the food and whatever. But once that happened, there was like crackheads sleeping in the buildings. That Tim Hortons over there, they had to put locks on the bathrooms, like, so people can't use them anymore unless you ask. And the bank next door, you can't even go in after hours and use the machine because they put locks on it, because the crackheads are going there and shitting on the floors. They're coming into the buildings, like my building here and that building, all the buildings, breaking in, sleeping in the staircase. I'm fine. Okay, fine. You want to stay warm, but then they start shitting on the floors. They're yelling and screaming, running through the halls. Like, there used to be cops here all the time, and a lot of overdoses. Like, people were dying like almost every week of overdoses ever since, when that was put in. It just got so bad, and now it's gone because people had enough of it, and finally they shut it down. And you don't see as many of the crackheads, but there's still a lot more violence and stuff going on. But anyway, that's what this neighborhood has become, and I'm not gonna leave. I'm not giving up where I live. I'm not, it was my neighborhood before it was theirs, and I just hope something gets done about it soon, because I don't want these scum I don't want them in any neighborhood. I don't say I want them to move to a different neighborhood. I want them, just, if they're causing trouble, I want them arrested. I want them punished and gone. There go the motorcycles now. They're starting already, and it's like only 8 o'clock. But anyway, that's enough for this. And if you watched it all the way and stuff, thanks. You want to comment. If you're actually from this neighborhood and you want to comment, that's great. Maybe you got some stories of your own, or even if you're not from this neighborhood and you got some stories of your own, and you want to comment, yeah, please do, because I know it's not the worst neighborhood by any means, but it could be a lot better. So anyway, thanks for watching. If you want to subscribe, hit that like and comment. That's great. So I guess until the next one, bye. And hopefully the next one will be a more positive video. Actually, will be, because I have a funny video I'm posting next. But anyway, thanks for watching, and until the next one, bye.